What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, you are watching TWA Motorsports, and today we're gonna see if we can replace an oil pan gasket in the dually. Now, why now? I haven't even got it aligned yet. You can see we still got some positive camber on this thing. Yes, we do. But look, before I get it aligned, I don't know if this plays into it. I really don't, to be quite honest with you. But I want to try doing this before, and you'll see a little bit more on what I'm talking about when we get under there. But I've got it kind of placed in a spot where it doesn't need to move in and out. You guys may see some stuff disappear in the background before I get this video accomplished. We're working on some stuff. Hopefully an update on that will be coming soon. But let's see if we can get it off the ground. Let's get under it. Let's take a look at what needs to be done. Now, we're all about safety here at TWA Motorsports. So we've got jack stands and jacks, both sides. All about safety. Okay, here's why I want to change the pan gasket. Look at it. Look how bad it is. If you guys can tell, we're leaking. We're leaking a lot. I don't even know if it's possible. Oh my gosh. I'm probably getting into a whole can of worms I don't want to get in, but I think we can get it out of the way by just removing this cross member. And this is what I was talking about before I get it aligned. Now, some will say that if you take this out, your alignment's going to be off. I don't know if that's true or not, but we're sure going to find out. Well, actually, I guess we're not going to find out, because we're going to take this out. I'm going to paint it with some POR 15 after I give it a good cleanup. That's one spot we didn't hit, obviously. I can clean up those bolts, just kind of dress up some areas that I didn't do basically earlier. So I don't know, guys. I'm sitting here looking at this now, and I think the starter, well, maybe the starter doesn't have to come out. I'm thinking though that this closeout, oh my gosh, that's probably the rear main. I would say that's the rear main leaking. We may not be doing this. I'd almost bet that's the rear main seal. There's a chance it could be the pan gasket, I guess. I don't know though. So we're gonna do it. I've been laying out here thinking, nah, we may or may not. I don't know. It does need, look, it probably needs a rear main. Also, we're just not gonna mess with that right now. We're really not. Let's see what we need to get started with. We're gonna have to take some stuff off, okay? There's no doubt about it. The very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go grab my oil pan, and we're gonna drain the oil, which I don't love this design anyway. I don't know if you guys noticed, but golly. Yeah, I don't know, guys. It may be a pretty good pan gasket leak and not as much of the rear main. What I may do is, while we're down here, pull this cover off. I don't even know if I can get that out. I might be able to possibly get that out. It's missing a bolt over here, I noticed, but pull the cover off, the closeout to the converter. I don't know if we'll be able to see up in there and see if it's a rear main, and maybe start there actually before we tear into this. But I don't want to take the trans out and do all that just to fix the rear main right now. I was just basically trying to slow down some of our oil leak and keep it from spraying all over the truck. It's definitely got some leak on the pan gasket, because you can see it runs all the way up here to the front. Now, if you remember, we did delete the oil cooler a while back, and obviously we're good there. That's where some of that oil came from. But I tell you what, I just need to quit talking about it. Let's go get the drain plug, or the drain pan, get the oil draining and the filter off. Now that we have the oil pan full, oil drain, filter off, it sucks because I didn't change this oil that long ago. Maybe it has a couple hundred miles on it, but it is what it is. I hate the design here, leaking on the exhaust pipe. That sucks. But we need to get this out. 18 on both sides. So what I'm going to do is use my impact. Obviously, guys, there's dirt all over these, but I want it out of the way. It'll give me a lot more room to work and a little more access to what we're working on here. So let's get that thing out of the way with 4 18s total, 2 on each side. Got that thing out. Definitely needs a cleaning. All that dirt, acorns, a couple washers. Yeah, it's out. Wasn't too bad, actually. I didn't really even have, it didn't fall in my oil, which is good. Thought that for sure was going to happen. This next part will definitely fall in the oil, so I'll be mad. But we're going to take the closeout off the 4L80. So there are 15 millimeters. You can see there's 1, 2 on the other side, and then there's supposed to be 2 that go into the pan, even though we only have 1 and it's on the driver's side. I'm going to see if I can locate. Once I get those out, we'll see how long they are. I'll probably have another one when we go back together, but you don't even have to have this closeout panel, but it definitely makes things look a little nicer. And I think, let's see here, we should be able to sneak it out around the starter. I think it goes around the starter. If not, we may have to take the starter out. Interesting bit of info here. The closeout, closeout here will not come out with that factory exhaust where it's at. So never mind on that. I'm not even going to try to break those guys loose. They've probably been there forever. Not doing that. So we're going to leave it, you know, just unhooked for now. Hopefully it won't impede with what we're doing. I don't think it will. But now we've got some other things to take loose, okay? There is a 10 millimeter here in the front that holds this on. You see it right here in the corner. That holds this piece of plastic on. Once you get that 10 millimeter out of the corner, the one that goes in sideways, you can see it right there, I'm pointing at it. Once you get that one out, this will pull out and out of the way. We have another one here on the side that comes in and holds this bracket that holds the transmission cooler lines. And then I'm gonna go ahead, reach in there with the pick and unplug the oil level sensor. We've now got everything loose. I've got the oil plug, actually it's the oil level sensor. Got it unplugged and tucked up there. This is just like I said, the 10 millimeter here. And then we have the 10 millimeter up front. Once you do that, you swing this over to the driver's side and that little plastic pin pulls out of the oil pan. We are now ready to start the process of taking all these oil pan bolts out. That should be all we need to get loose before we tackle dropping the pan. Now, I suggest leaving possibly the 2 middle ones to last. You're gonna have the 2 long ones back here in the very back, okay? I'm gonna get those first because I'm gonna push that out of the way. Then we're gonna move to these, then the very front ones, which I think I can get with the swivel up here. Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. And like I said, I'm gonna leave these 2 to last just to make my life easier and it doesn't just fall on the ground. We are down to the last bolt holding this thing in. I took all of them out except that one right there in the middle. See that? We're ready. I'm gonna take that bolt out. We're gonna lower the pan down. Should come out relatively easy. You may have to slide it back just a little to clear the steering drag link here, but I don't think so. I think it'll come out okay. We got that thing off. There is a lot of sludge in it. I'm gonna grab my light over here. It's definitely leaking. The pan gasket is giving up the ghost. We also got definitely some rear main leaking, it looks like, but yeah, the pan gasket is pretty toast in some spots, especially over here. But look at all the sludge down there. So we have our cleaning cut out for us, that is for sure. This is the original pan gasket, I would assume, because it's got the rivets in it. We're gonna have to drill those out a little later. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in and let this set overnight, make a mess out of my floor, miss my oil pan completely, because that's what'll happen. And we're gonna come out in the morning. We're gonna start the cleaning process. I've got some stuff I'm gonna try. I've seen videos of. Whether it works or not, I guess we'll see. But yeah, hopefully it'll work. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna be doing a lot of cleaning on this, obviously. I wanna get the pan gasket off. And this is the factory gasket, so you'll notice it has a couple rivets in it. You can see one there. There's another one back here. And so what I've got here is I've got a small drill bit. We're just gonna go ahead and drill those out. We're gonna throw some metal in the pan. I wanted to do this before we started cleaning. You can see all the sludge down there. Hopefully you can see that. I mean, it's bad. But look, we're gonna keep up with oil changes on this truck, so things should get better. At least that's what we're hoping. Let me get these drilled out. We'll get the pan gasket out of the way. Doesn't take much to drill those out and get that off, but then we're gonna have to go grab a punch and knock them the rest of the way through. I generally don't re-rivet these to the pan. Sometimes your new pan gasket, especially if you order it from GM, will come with new rivets. You can rivet it on, and we may end up doing that, but I generally don't. Now that we got the rivets knocked out, you can see I got a little metal in here. I'm gonna try to take this baffle out. They generally aren't very tight. And the reason I'm taking that out is so we can get some of that sludge out of the bottom. I'm gonna have to use 2 hands here, or I'm gonna round that one off. 10 millimeter. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use 2 hands on both. Let's get that out of the way. Now look, the outside of this is gross. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Check this out. Look at the sludge build up on the bottom. Look at that. How bad that's bad. But that's why I wanted to move that, is so I could try to get some of this cleaned up and out of the pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some shop towels and try to wipe some of it out for now. Then we're going to move on to the outside. We'll probably give this a good cleaning. I mean, we need to scrape all this crap off the side. It's bad. We'll go through and try to get a good wipe down on it. So I wanted to show you this piece because before I start with what I'm going to be using on the pan, I wanted to try, this is just brake clean, elbow grease, and like a scrubber sponge, and it came out pretty clean. I did it with you know, these blue shop towels which kind of fray out. Before we go back together, I'm going to give it a good wipe down with either alcohol or some more brake clean, making sure I don't have any like frayed pieces like stuck to the edge. But definitely cleaned up really well. I wish this were that easy, but I got my work cut out for me here. I've got a local machine shop that I could technically take this out to and he would clean it, but I think one more thing, I'm going to get an adjustable end wrench because I don't remember what size this is, and I'm going to take the oil level sensor out and try to clean it up separately. I got this thing out, cleaned it up really well, a couple Q-tips. Looks good. I'm going to try to find a replacement seal though. I'm hoping I don't have to buy the whole freaking thing just to get the seal. I should be able to go to my local parts store and find one. Onto the pan. Okay, here's what I'm going to try. Everybody says, oh, easy off. You just put it on there, let it set, and this stuff just falls off. I don't know. We're gonna give it a shot. I've never tried it before, guys. Like I said, I should take it to my local machine shop. He's got a hot tank. He could put this in, and it'd probably make my life way easier. But we're gonna give it a shot. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna scrub on this at all. I'm just gonna let this stuff set. Probably have to do it a couple times. And we'll just see how it goes. Is it worth it? Is it worth the $6 or $5, whatever this stuff costs? I got 2 kinds. This is the regular, and then I got heavy duty. So let's see what this one does after it sets for a little bit. I'm gonna go get my garden hose. I'm also gonna do the inside of the pan if this works. Let's let it set and see what happens. Now let it set for a little bit. And it did okay. It took some of it off, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the heavy duty. Let's spray it, and then I'm not using power washer, just using a regular hose. And let's see if that does any better. I mean, that chunked up stuff, I don't know, we're probably going to have to scrub, guys. Okay, here's what I'll say. The heavy duty sucks. The easy off regular did the best. And we still got a ton left. We're gonna have to scrub. There's just no way around it. I'm gonna go grab kind of a toothbrush. I'm gonna spray it down with this. I'm gonna agitate it. I'm gonna spray it down again, let it set for like 5 minutes. I'm gonna hose it off. We're just gonna repeat that process over and over until I'm tired. Or it's clean. One of the two. I'm guessing tired comes first. This is after I used the heavy duty just because I'm trying to get rid of it. It just doesn't foam as well. I did the heavy duty, went around it twice with the brush, just a toothbrush. In fact, you can see it sitting right there. It did okay. Took a lot of it off. Still got a lot in the cracks and crevices, but what we're going to do is we're just going to keep repeating this process. And I don't know, it's going to take some time. Like I said, I should have taken it to the machine shop, but that's okay. We're already started. We're going to finish. What sucks is once we get done here, we got to go to the inside. It shouldn't be as bad because it's not like caked. I mean, it's caked on, but I think it'll clean up a little better than this. And we also got to clean the mating surface and whatnot, and then we got to go under the truck. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep going over it with the easy off. Once I run out of the heavy duty, I'm going to switch back to that. I'm going to start using one of my scrubber brushes. So like one of those sponges right there. Once we get a little deeper into this, and we'll just keep trying to get it out of these little cracks and whatnot. May flip the pan back and forth, but I'll cut back in once we're finished. That is about as clean as I can get that pan without like getting real abrasive. Looks way better than what it did, but now we're gonna get under there and we're gonna attempt to clean some of the junk off the windage tray. So the windage tray up here is absolutely disgusting. Same like buildup. See all that buildup up there? What we're gonna do, I'm gonna try not to get it on my camera. Maybe I can show you guys a little bit of it here. We're gonna try to spray some of that junk off, yeah. And then we'll come back. Obviously, we're gonna have, I don't want this on my camera lens, that's for sure. But we're gonna do that amongst this whole thing. Let it drip on the ground. I'm gonna come wipe it up, and we're gonna start razor blading that where that seal sets next. Well, I scraped it twice. Man, it's a pain. I thought it'd be a little easier than this, but got a lot of the buildup off the windage tray too, so I feel good about this. Went around twice with the razor blade. Had to get a little creative back here in the back. Had to take the razor blade off of the little stick I use. But now we need to assemble the pan. I may rivet, we'll see. Let's go look at the pan, see what we want to do. We're gonna have to put some silicone in the four corners. So we'll put silicone in this corner over here, and obviously the two back ones to help stop the leak. But I may zip tie this forward or something to try to keep it out of the way as I'm going back in with the pan. But I've got to clean up the bolts on my grinder over there with the, I got a lot of bolts to clean. I want to clean all the heads off and the threads of the oil pan bolts before we go back in. Now I scrubbed on this thing quite a bit to get it looking the way it does. I didn't get in all the little cracks and crevices, but before we put the pan gasket on, I do want to run over this one more time with the razor blade, making sure that we've got all the stuff off that we need to. And I'm going to spray this thing out with some brake clean, making sure we got all the junk out of the pan. And then I'm going to use my air chuck on my blower, and we're going to make sure that we get it all blown out. And the main reason I want to blow it out is for these areas here that I may have got stuff into, and the holes for mounting this guy, because we need to mount that back in place, obviously. We're just going to kind of work our way around this. I got a brand new razor blade on here. And, oh, that's loud. Get it all cleaned up. Then we'll grab the brake clean it all out, blow it out, and then I'll grab some torque specs for the baffle here. Got it all cleaned out, blown out. Now we need to torque. This only goes in one way, okay? It only fits around this area for the oil filter one direction. We need to torque these to 106 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds. Foot-pounds would snap those suckers right off. I threaded them in by hand just to make sure they go. I'm going to go ahead and snug them down so I'm not using the torque wrench forever. We'll get those to 106 inch-pounds. And then we're going to go grab our pan gasket and try to decide, do we want to rivet it? Do we not? Guess is we probably won't. We'll see. I generally don't. Now look, when you're doing all this work like I'm doing, buy a GM gasket. Guys, I don't know, there's some cheapies out there. There's Felpro and other brands. Buy a GM, okay? They're just better. Set this guy on there. Let's take a look at what we want to do here. Do we want to put the rivets in? I'll tell you what. If I can find a rivet that I have over there that fits, I may put a rivets in it. There's only 2, and they're recessed to hold a rivet so it doesn't interfere. Let me go see if I've got one. I actually do have rivets big enough, or small enough, I guess you'd say. We're gonna give it a shot. If I can rivet it in there, it'll stay. We're gonna use them. You can see I've cleaned all the bolts off, threads, heads, the whole deal. So what I like to do is get them started. And they'll generally set somewhat in the gasket like that. That's as far as I'm gonna go. I used to thread them in further than that. Actually, I'll go a little, about halfway, I guess, up the bolt. But we're trying to get this thing started as even as possible. And the reason why is we're gonna have silicone in those corners. And we're kind of going up in an odd area, which I'll show you here in a minute, where the silicone's gonna go. We'll crawl under the truck and show you that area. So let me get these all started about halfway. And we'll show you what I'm talking about. There's a couple things we need to take note of while we're under here. One, if any oil is dripped, which is probably telling me the rear main's bad, but we need to wipe that off, okay? Before we get some Permatex here, like what I'm gonna be using, just black silicone to go in these corners where the front, basically what I'm doing is where the cover meets the block. That's what we're shooting for. But if you took this out and cleaned it like I did, and I cleaned the bolts, get it back in place, because once you get the pan in, you're not getting that back in, okay? I've just loosely fastened it with 2 of the bolts that hold it to the transmission itself. But now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna actually, tell you what, let's take a nice clean towel and let's wipe this area off one more time. Make sure that we get it. And we're going to do these 4 corners here, but I'm going to show you exactly where I'm going to be putting the silicone, if it'll cooperate with me and squeeze up through this. Which generally isn't too bad. You may have to cut a pretty good size hole. We're just going to go in that corner where those 2 things meet. See that? Nice little hot dog there. That's what I call it. Same thing here. And we're going to do that in those other 4 corners. It's going to be tough for me to do that with the camera. Then it would help if you've got somebody to help you hold the wire out of the way while you kind of maneuver the pan up in there. Because we want to go up as flat as possible so we're not smearing that around. It gets a nice smush when we start equally tightening these. So I'm going to start snugging these down, alternating from the middle and working my way out. Doing these long ones at the back. We're going to save those for last. Once you get the pan in place, which actually went a little easier than I thought it would, we're going to go ahead and start snugging these up. And these torque to 18 foot-pounds, not very much. What we're going to do is we're going to start in the middle and we're going to work our way out. So we're going to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Working our way out. Front one's last, back one's last. That's how I've always done it. I'm sure there's a sequence online, but that's really what you're wanting to do, is work your way from the middle out. So what I'll probably do is snug them down by hand that way. Then we'll go back and hit them with 18. Now, these little guys in the back, they go to 106, just like the baffle in the pan. 106 inch-pounds. Don't put 18 on those, you'll probably break them. Let's get that done. Now that we got everything torqued down to 18, the back's to 106. I did go ahead. It's important that you line up these first, okay? Get this lined up. Snug those down, but then line these up and snug them down, because you don't want to crack your pan pulling against this. Now that we've got that done, I'm going to go ahead and torque all 6 of these bolts for the closeout panel to 37 foot-pounds. You don't want to pull against the pan. So make sure it's up against the pan snug before you go torquing this down. I like to torque these first, but like I said, this is very important. Don't crack your pan. But that's about it under here. I'm going to do some painting on like these areas here. I'm going to put the 10mm back in that holds this. I'm going to put the 10 up front that holds the wiring out of the way. And you'll probably notice that I didn't put my oil level sensor back in. I haven't done that yet because I don't have an O-ring. I'm supposed to have one this week. All right, so this is the one I got, which I was matching up with some of the AC ones I got. Guys, I don't love it. It's not quite as thick, and it doesn't have, there's a little ridge on this one. Okay, so apparently they think that one will work. I see some block off caps for these, and all they sell is an O-ring, but I'm not going to use that. The other one, I got to cleaning on it. It's still pliable. It still sticks out as much as this new one. So I'm going to put it back in, and we're just going to give it a shot. If it leaks, then we may just order a whole sensor. I know a new sensor will come with it, but they're like 40 bucks, and there was nothing wrong with this one. So let's just put it back on. I'm going to put it in the pan. Guys, look, this is plastic, so don't go crazy snugging it down. We're just going to hand tighten it, plug it back in, and then we're going to put our new, well, not new, but our painted cross member in once the paint dries on the bottom. So you can see my painted piece. We're ready to put that into place. And you also notice I got a new steering stabilizer. I think the old one looks pretty trash, so we're probably going to replace it. But I also have all my bolts painted that held that brace in. I'm going to go ahead and get that in, and we'll get under the truck and we'll show you. I've never replaced the steering stabilizer, so guys, I don't know. Could be a pain. But first thing I want to do is get this back in place. Now I got this thing in here, as you can see, and man, it looks so much better. All this stuff looks so much nicer now. I did go ahead and put the filter on. You probably saw that earlier, but nice and painted. I haven't tightened these down yet, guys. I don't know a torque spec on these. I'm just going to snug them down really tight. But this guy, so this is the dampener that I want to replace, and it looks to be an 18 millimeter with a stud, and then an 18 millimeter on this side, and the bushings are all worn out. I'm sure this thing's destroyed, so it'll be a good time to take it loose. I wish I'd have painted this, but I didn't, and I'm going to be annoyed that this bolt isn't painted, but that's okay. Let's get this thing loose, see if we can get it out of place. Well, the 18s weren't too bad to get out of this, but what I will tell you is I had to turn the wheels, as you can see, to get it over here where I could knock the top end of it out with the hammer. It took me a little bit, but I got it. It's a snug fit. So what we'll do is we'll straighten it back up, obviously, but let's go grab the new one and see how it fits in there. It comes in separate pieces, so the like this one, see how it comes together right here. The new one reuses the stock bolt for that end, but it comes with a new stud for the other. Since when do parts come with instructions? Not only instructions, but torque specs. Look, 35 foot-pounds on this side with the stud, 30 foot-pounds on the other. For GM, it says quite a bit more on Dodge, but anyway, you've got two washers. See, they're different sizes, and the reason why is because this one will clear this. And this will go on through that, and this goes up in the drag link, and this on top, this on bottom. You'll put the other washer on after it goes through there. That could be fun. But that's how it goes together. Not too bad. Worked way easier than I thought it would, actually. You can see I got it in 30 foot-pounds on this side, 35 on each of these. We'll see how it drives, but we are ready to set this thing down. We got quite a bit accomplished under here with that oil pan. Hopefully that, you know, fixes a majority of our leak, and we made things look a little nicer and cleaner. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on, the closeout. I know it's got a crack in it, and I think I put it on earlier in the video, but I had to take it off to gain more access. Let's get it on, set it on the ground. We'll fill it up with oil. Went down the road. Everything seems to be good. Other than I forgot, I was going to do this while I was under there, but you guys know how that crossover pipe is on the oil pan, where the oil drains and basically drains onto the pipe. I was going to wipe that off, but I forgot. I was smelling some oil, and I was like, oh, that's what it is. But here's the deal. I wanted to get this together because I've got an alignment set up for tomorrow. So I'm going to finish this video showing you guys kind of where we get the alignment. It actually looks like it's pretty dadgum close right now, other than the camber. Still got a little positive camber, but I'm going to get it aligned. So we will check in here in just a second after I get back from the alignment shop, and hopefully everything goes well. Just got back a few hours ago from the alignment shop, guys. I got it back in the shop. As you can see, it is drivable. Okay, I came out here this morning, drove it to work, pulled it out, no leaks, at least under the pan. That's a good sign. So I think we've got that addressed. Now I still think it probably needs a rear main with the mileage on the car or on the truck. I'm not pulling the trans out just to put a rear main in it right now. It's not leaking that bad there. I think a majority was on our pan, but boy, does removing that cross member make life easy to pull the pan off one of these. I mean, it's still a little bit of work, but we got that addressed. We got that stabilizer in. I got it aligned, guys. I generally get it a little closer than this, and I say closer on the toe. It was 2 degrees out on toe, and he actually made the comment that it wore some on the tires. My alignment shop's about 35 miles away, and so he got it in the green. We are now at 0 on toe. He couldn't do a whole lot with caster, but he got the camber lined out, so wheels are nice and straight, and this thing is drivable. It drove great. I will tell you guys, this thing does not like to see, each car kind of has their own cradle point, I call it, where it just likes to live, okay? Going down the highway, if you know what I'm talking about, it's just like a spot in the gas pedal that it just likes to hang. It just feels comfortable. This is 55. Don't know why. When I push it to 65, 70, it does fine, but it just feels like I'm pushing it further than that. And it's been some RPMs. It's obviously got 410 gears in it. And it does not get good gas mileage, that is for sure. But we got the oil pan addressed. We got it aligned. We got some other stuff accomplished. Guys, I'm not pulling the plug on this and saying we're completely finished, but I'm not sure where we're gonna go next. There's some things that I would like to address. You'll just have to wait and see what those things are as they come up. But guys, I will be listing everything I use in the description down below, like always, and a little description under the video. But if you did enjoy this video on the truck, please, like always, go down there, smash that thumbs up button. Guys, if you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Of course, ring that bell notification. That will notify you every single time we drop a new video on this or something else. And stay tuned to see what we work on next.